This week in car news, Mercedes builds an electric hypercar that fakes V8 noises through its headlights. Yeah, really. Chevy's new ZR1X Corvette has a ballistic 1250 horsepower all-wheel drive and 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds? Meanwhile, Stellantis is flailing about begging the EU for help with compact EVs and might just have to sell off Maserati. Volvo breaks records without anyone actually even noticing, a record that puts the iconic 240 in the shade. And China, well, they're doubling down on European sales, growing exponentially. But how much of their massive sales figures are real or just re-registered motors? Well, I'll tell you what, let's get into all of the latest news right now, right after this.
A brown car guy.
Right, so let's start with the AMG GT XX concept car. This is Mercedes' spectacular vision of electric hypersaloon craziness, dipped in sunset beam orange and packing 1,360 horsepower from 3 axial flux motors. Well, flux me. Isn't that what Doc Brown used? This thing has the sort of power that you'd expect from just one of the Starship Enterprise's warp nacelles, rather than from a 4-door coupe. Anyway, these axial flux motors, originally it's tech from a UK firm called YASA, Y-A-S-A. They are about a third of the size of regular EV motors, but deliver 3 times the power density. So this thing is built on the AMG.EA electric architecture, and it's a full-blown testbed for the next era of a Falterbach Fury. The battery, 800 volts, liquid cooled, and you can get 400 kilometers, about 250 miles of range with just a 5-minute charge, thanks to 850 kilowatts super fast charging. That's about the same time it takes to make a cup of tea. And just when you think the AMG can't get any weirder, they have, get this, stuck external speakers into the headlights to emit a simulated V8 growl. So yes, your car would now roar from its face. I know, you're simultaneously outraged but intrigued. Inside, the GTXX is all exposed metal, biotech fabrics and backlit orange tubes that look like high voltage wiring. The seats are 3D printed to fit your backside. No leather here, instead you get recycled racing tires and lab-grown silk. Now that's a bit of funk silk rubber, right? Plus there are aero wheels that literally open up cooling flaps while you're pounding them using self-powered actuators. Now that is a world first. 0 to 62 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds and a top speed of 224 miles per hour. The drag coefficient? Just 0.198. That's literally slippier than a cruise missile. I'm not even joking. Are they actually going to build this thing? Well, yeah, actually. There will be a hypersaloon based on this thing arriving in 3 pointed star showrooms probably by the end of next year. Did I say 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds? Pah! Not to be outdone, Chevrolet has launched the 2026 Corvette ZR1X. It's basically America's answer to the world's best hypercars, but with more American muscle and less recycled silk. It's got a good old 5.5 litre twin turbo flat plane LT7 V8 throwing out 1064 horsepower to the rear, paired with 186 horsepower electric motor driving the front axle. Combined output 1250 horses and a claimed 0 to 60 of under 2 seconds. Yeah, under 2 seconds. That's F1 levels of acceleration. Quarter mile under 9 seconds at 150 miles per hour. Top speed over 230 miles per hour. This is Corvette's first true hypercar with all-wheel drive, dual propulsion and a battery that recharges via regenerative braking only. No plug-in for this one, but it does feature a Charge Plus button for endurance mode, a qualifying mode for hot laps, and a push to pass mode, which sounds very IndyCar and very awesome. Brakes? Yeah, carbon ceramics. 16.5-inch rotors 10 piston calipers. Chevy claims it decelerates at 1.9 G from 180 to 120 miles per hour. That's like the snapback on a bungee jump. If all this is not mad enough for you, you can get an even wilder version, the ZTK pack, or should that be ZTK pack, which comes with Michelin Cup 2Rs track tires, add aero kit, and you get 545 kilograms of downforce at V max. It's the sort of car that deliberately gets into bar brawls just to prove that it's superior. And now for something a little more sedate and Swedish. The Volvo 240, produced from 1974 to 1993, a tank of a saloon, and the ultimate estate of its era, and the epitome of solidity and longevity in a car. Well, this thing, it was Volvo's best-selling car, unsurprisingly really, achieving 2,685,171 global sales. This thing was synonymous with no-nonsense, practical and dependable family transport. It introduced innovations such as side impact protection and a world-first integrated child booster cushion. Over 240,000 Volvos, fittingly enough, Volvo 240s of course that is, were sold in the UK alone, with peak sales in the late 1970s and early 1980s. But now, the Volvo XC60 has overtaken it to become the world's best-selling Volvo model of all time, with 2.7 million units sold. It's the family SUV of choice for everyone who thinks Range Rovers are a bit showy and too stealable, plus they break down a lot. Launched in 2008, it's evolved from a premium crossover to Europe's top plug-in hybrid, with Volvo claiming almost half the miles covered in an XC60 plug-in hybrid are now on electric-only power. The 2026 refresh adds a sleeker design, slicker interface, and the kind of minimalist cabin or the interior that makes IKEA look, well, a bit tacky. If you grew up in the back of a 240, chances are your kids are probably growing up in the back of an XC60. After all, it has that same safety-first DNA, but it probably has fewer cassette holders and more collision avoidance software. Now let's talk about Stellantis, that 14-brand empire that has brands such as Peugeot, Jeep, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, and others. According to recent moves, they're looking a bit wobbly. At the Turin Auto Show, Stellantis and Renault jointly lobbied the EU to relax EV rules for compact cars. They're calling for a new category akin to Japan's K cars, something that would be cheaper, lighter, with more relaxed safety standards. Why? Because EU regulations are pricing European small EVs, well, out of the market. And in its place, China is flooding the market with sub 20,000 euros that is, models like the BYD Dolphin, for example. They say that the current rules add 850 to 1,400 euros per vehicle. Analysts reckon such reforms could boost the segment to 600,000 units annually by 2030. But Euro NCAP is not impressed. Watered down crash standards could tank the scores of these cars to just 2 or 3 stars. Renault and Stellantis want this deregulation, but safety groups say not so fast. What do you think? Would you be comfortable in a car with a lower safety rating? Tell me in the comments. Hope you're enjoying this video. Make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe if you're not already doing so. And support independent automotive journalism channels like mine. You can do that at patreon.com, coffee.com, or taking out a subscription right here on YouTube. Or you know what? Better still, you can go and buy my books. I've got 3 books out now. They're all on Amazon. They're all available to buy. More details on this are in the description, but buying any of these books will certainly help. Thanks so much for watching. Sticking with Stellantis, so to speak, it isn't just begging for policy changes. It might also be planning a garage sale. Reuters reports that the group is considering selling Maserati as part of a strategic brand review. Now, this brand is their only full-fat luxury brand, and the thing is, though, it has been in the red. 2024 sales have halved to just 11,300 units, and the brand posted a 260 million euro operating loss. Ouch! McKinsey's been brought in, options are on the table. Internally, some people say that selling Maserati would destroy Stellantis' premium car credentials completely. But others reckon that, well, Maserati is simply dead weight. They've got no big new launches planned at all, and Chinese buyers like Chery are reportedly circling, just as Geely, for example, snapped up Volvo, which of course is now Chinese owned, along with Polestar. One executive reportedly said, off the record, "We're too fat. Something's got to give." If Stellantis ditches Maserati, it could be the clearest sign that they are retrenching, ditching flair for function. To be honest, I've been saying this for a while. Stellantis is just too big. There's just too many brands. And Maserati, I think, made a big mistake when they ditched their V8 and went all electric and downsized everything else to V6s. Come on, Maserati, that's not your place. Talking to the Chinese brands now own 5.9% of Europe's new car market, double what they had a year ago, according to, well, Jato Dynamics, a company I used to work for actually. That's 65,800 cars in May alone that they sold. MG, owned by SAIC, sold nearly 30,000, and BYD was just 40 units shy of beating Tesla. And there are other brands that you've probably never heard of, things like Jayco, Amoda, and Leapmotor. They have outsold Honda, Mitsubishi, and even Lancia. The EU did actually slap tariffs on Chinese EVs, and yet they are still growing. Why? Well, price, value, and honestly, it's pretty good product. If Europe doesn't step up, very soon we will see wall-to-wall Chinese car domination in Europe, and of course here in the UK as well. I think it's almost inevitable. However, could China be artificially inflating its sales and its export stats by registering brand new cars as used? Well, Reuters, again, exposed a scheme whereby cars are registered locally in China, never driven, stored in fields, and then exported to markets like Russia and the Middle East. And then voila, you have sales logged, stock has been moved, and targets are hit. Now the government there is kind of supporting it with tax breaks, special export licenses, and even free warehousing. Why would they do this? Well, to keep the factories humming and to keep the GDP numbers looking good. Roughly 90% of China's used car exports in 2024 were so-called zero mileage cars. So some car makers are worried about this, but the party line is that if it helps Chinese cars enter restricted markets, let's do it. Critics call it economic smoke and mirrors, but as one analyst said, how many sales are real or inflated? No one really knows. It's a house of cards built from showroom brochures. So there you have it. There's your quick roundup of news from this week. AMG fakes V8 noises from its headlights. Corvette punches a hole to the space-time continuum. Stellantis is potentially shedding ballast. And Volvo's on a quiet roll. Meanwhile, China is being China, and they're playing international trade chess with everybody, while we're trying to figure out where to plug in our electric cars. So what is this? Is this the future of how things are going to be? Do you think this is the right way of going about it? Do you think that there are warning signs on the horizons? Anyway, let me know what you think of what's going on. Let me know if you want more updates like this, and I'll catch you all in the next video. But don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe on your way out. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.